Alright, welcome back to Peanut Garage. Today we have a whole bunch of shiny stuff and we're going to put on the HX. So this is the WILWOOD Rod Shop, Castlemaine Rod Shop, big brake kit for the HX. So I've gone with the 320mm. In this episode we will go from big pile of parts to this. So the tools that we'll need today is torque wrench, a couple of Torx bits, bit of red Loctite, some bearing grease. One of these applicators makes your life a hell of a lot easier than sitting there going, I'm putting grease in a bearing. Really worth the investment, 50 bucks. And keeps your hands really clean. Big shifter, soft face hammer, 3/16 Allen key, couple of sockets, wheel nut, socket, and a rattle gun will make your life a hell of a lot easier. All right, let's dive into it. All right, before we get stuck into it, we'll go through what comes in the kit. So you'll get a packet of these. These are the bolts that hold the conversion bracket to your caliper. So you also get a bunch of shims and a lock washer. Get a set of new bearings, and I also opted to get a new retaining washer and lock nut. You will have to source these from somewhere else. You also get your hub seal, couple other packets of bolts. So these ones are for the hub ring to the disc, and these ones are the hub to the hub ring. I've also optioned for the Castlemaine Rod Shop braided lines. So we'll go into detail into this a little bit later. I have already installed half of this into the car on one side. I need to go get some different thread sealant. We'll go over that as well. I'll show you what I use. Not everyone's going to use it because I'm used to industrial application, and what I'm going to use is a hell of a lot better than what is recommended. So we'll dive into that later. So getting into beefier stuff. So get a couple of packets of wheel studs. These are 1/2 inch -20 thread. So I've got 7/16 on the rear, which I wish I knew that this kit come with bigger wheel studs to begin with, or I would have used them. Shit happens. I'm stuck with what I've got. So also come with a couple of bolts for mounting the caliper. So obviously it's only half of what is there because I've already installed 1/2 for the glory shot. And we get the hub, nice billet aluminium piece. So if you have a look here, you can notice 10 holes. So when you order this kit, it comes with 2 sets, 5x120 for Commodore and 5x4.5 or 4.75 for HQ. So the 5x120 Commodore is indicated by a little drill point here. So we're going to mount ours here for the 5x4.75 inch for the HQ stud. Comes with a nifty little cap. Be careful, those O-rings will break. Tell me, ask me how I know. Anyway, we'll get into it. So we get one hub adapter to disc adapter, And then we get a nice shiny black WILWOOD caliper. So these are a 4-pot design to suit the 320mm. I'm pretty sure they're the same, they're just spaced out a bit different for the 320 to 280. Yeah, the smaller one's 280mm. And then that's where your nipple, right, 90-degree nipple will go for your brake line. All right. You also get some brake pads, obviously, and then you will also, here's one I prepared earlier, get a nice shiny disc brake. Your nice shiny rotor. All right, we will get this in a vise because you're going to need to put this in a vise to torque these. And I'll get you set up on the tripod a bit better and we'll go from there. Okie dokie. So, with your disc brake set up with the flat edges facing this way, we're going to take our hub ring with the indentation this way, and we're going to start chucking bolts in like that. That's got to be facing inways so you get the offset right. So chuck a little bit of Loctite on. All right. So we have set the torque wrench to 25 foot-pound, and then we're just going to go in the star pattern and torque them off. Fuck you. Now that that's all torqued, we'll put this aside, we'll grab the hub and put the wheel studs in. Alright, wheel studs. Takes a 1/2 inch socket, 12 point, boom. So we'll run these in. Don't need to put Loctite on it until you're getting close to the bottom, or it's going to have Loctite all through your threads. Pretty simple. Now, we're going to adjust the torque wrench to 75 foot-pound. No, 77, I think it was. I will just double check. There's your wheel studs installed. If you are slipping with your rag, as you saw, change over the soft jaws. Just try not to mark your flange. So I did a little bit, but it'll be right. Yeah. Next we'll mount this onto the rotor, and then we'll get to installing some bearings. Now you take your larger Torx bit bolts, and these are for your hub. So obviously you're going to need a different Torx bit, different torque setting, yada yada yada. So we'll chuck a bit of red Loctite on again. slip it into there, and so on. Alright, once you run them down, we will change the torque wrench back to 45. Torque them off. Obviously in a star pattern, like you would do your wheel nuts, you bolt the wheel on. There we have it, assembled wheel hub. So we'll clean the excess Loctite off. We'll chuck the bearings in it, pack them, and then we'll chuck them on the car. So for the people that have not seen these before, these are pretty cool. I prefer it a lot more than doing the usual thing by hand. It is a lot better, a lot less messy. And a lot quicker. Don't get me wrong, you still will get messy, but look at that. Nice, it's packed, ready to roll. We'll chuck some more grease on it. So much better than covering yourself in schmut. They say press this in, but I just hammer these in. So obviously, like any other seal, that's what I use the soft face for. Alright, that's installed. Yep, you will have to get dirty for this one. So we'll take a bit more grease. Stick it in the guts. But at the end of the day, using your packer is a lot less greasy. So before we head over to the car, we will chuck the smaller one on. Well, we'll chuck it in the packing, the packer. Drop her in. Give her a squeeze. There it is, packed, ready to go on. So we'll head over to the car. All right, so we're over at the car, just like any other disc brake. Jam it on. Grab our small bearing. It's greased up really well. Push it into position. With a clean hand, grab the new retainer, slide it on, grab a Newcastle nut, so I'm not left-handed, so this is quite difficult. I'm going to grab a rag, go a little bit more, we'll line it up for a split pin, spin it nice and free. Yeah. Alright, I'll grab a split pin. Obviously, we'll drive this for a little bit once it's on the road. Make sure it's, well, we'll pull the wheel back off. Make sure it's right. Make sure there's no play. After a couple of 100 kilometres, I'll probably take it on a nice long drive to go see some mates in Brizzy or something like that. Go fat lapping around town. And yeah, hopefully that won't be too long for this thing. All right. Obviously you know how to put a split pin in and a cap. So we'll get to assembling the brakes and we'll chuck them on. All right, so grab your caliper, grab your bracket. This one's pretty simple, guys. So it tells you to do 40 Newton meters. I got a rattle gun and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to grab an extension so I don't destroy the caliper after this. And just your little deck. Done. So we will need this one over at the car, and these. All right, we'll go back over to the car. All right, so got caliper, got your bolt, so you will need the spacer. Bolt, spacer, easy as. Once we get this on, I'll show you what the next step is. Obviously get rid of this shit. All right. Now, move you guys over this side because not much room. All right, let's go for a closer look. All right, so as you can see, that is how it sits. So what we need to do is make sure this still spins, which it does. We also need to make sure that that gap and that gap are pretty much the same, which you can measure it, which is ideally. If that gap is way too big, these bolts here come with shims, so you can shim it out this way to make it line up. Considering that the spacer that you're given with the kit is the only one, you're pretty much it, unless you want to make your own. So yeah, so we'll chuck the pads in, and that's pretty much it, except for the brake lines. So chuck this in. I will grab some sealant tomorrow and chuck the elbows in and show you that bit. Oh yeah. So 3/16 Allen key, back the Allen key bolt off, pull this up and slide it out. So obviously we've already installed the other side, so in this box I got 2 pads, so I'll just rub them together a little bit. We'll have to break these pads in. Some people rub them on concrete, just a little bit, just to get that shit off. So, don't push it in too far or it'll be a pain. So you get that first one through, get the second one down. Try not to go too crazy with it. And easy done. So this is a tapered hole that this is going into, because at the end it binds up. So already starting to get tight due to the taper, and that's locked off. So yeah, so I'll grab some sealant, set these lines, and then that is looking pretty good. All right, so that is the WILWOOD big brake upgrade for HQ to WB. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Be good or be good at it.